Chapter 841. What level of zombies are you? Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron M. When the villagers saw the Apocalypse Legion suddenly appear behind Yili, they were stunned because they couldn't understand why 9 zombies suddenly appeared behind Yili. Of course, they couldn't tell that the Apocalypse Legion was a zombie. They are. The village chief Liu Tian looked at Yili in confusion. They are my Apocalypse Legion, Yili said slowly. Apocalypse Legion? All the villagers were stunned. Naturally, they didn't know what the Apocalypse Legion was. Big brother, what is the Apocalypse Legion? The little girl looked at Yili curiously and asked. Zombies, Yili answered. What? As soon as he said that, all the villagers took 3 steps back in shock and looked at Yili in shock. Zombies? Village chief Liu Tian looked at Yili in shock. That's right, Yili said slowly. The villagers looked at each other, then at each other. They had seen many zombies, but none of them were like the zombies in the Apocalypse Legion. Big brother, are they really zombies? The little girl was confused. Yili nodded and didn't say anything. At this moment, a strong man ran over with a shocked expression. Oh no! Zombies are here. When the villagers heard the man shout, they were shocked. Chief, many zombies are coming this way. The man said to Chief Liu Tian in horror. What? The village chief Liu Tian took a few steps back. All the villagers were scared silly and did not know what to do. Yili smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face. It was just a few dozen zombies. Was there a need to be so afraid? Senior, look. The village chief Liu Tian hurriedly looked at Yili. At this moment, he didn't care if the members of the Apocalypse Legion were zombies or not. All the villagers looked at Yili. In their eyes, Yili was their life-saving straw. I'm fine, Yili said calmly. The village chief Liu Tian and the villagers were all shocked. There were dozens of zombies. They really couldn't understand why Yili's face didn't change at all. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, zombies' roars reached the ears of the villagers. When the villagers heard this cry, they followed the sound and looked over. They were so frightened that their souls almost left their bodies. To the villagers' surprise, the dozens of zombies didn't pounce on them, but stopped dozens of steps away from them. You guys, a mutant zombie was suddenly terrified. This mutant zombie was a 5th-tier zombie, and a 5th-tier zombie could speak human language. He felt the pressure of the Apocalypse Legion, which was like a mountain pressing down on him. What level are you exactly? The 5th-tier mutant zombie stared at the Apocalypse Legion and asked. As the captain of the Apocalypse Legion, Ada would naturally choose to answer his question. Our levels aren't very high. They're all 10th-tier Lord-level zombies. Hearing Ada's words, the Tier 3 mutant zombie was instantly scared out of its wits. It immediately prepared to escape with dozens of zombies. No matter how small a fly was, it was still meat. How could he let a fly escape? Take action. Yili gave the order to the Apocalypse Legion. Ada instantly shot out, and dozens of zombies instantly fell to the ground. Opening the synthesis grid in his mind, Yili synthesized dozens of zombies. Chapter 842. Shadow Wolf Dark Race Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron M. The entire process happened too quickly. Before the villagers could even see clearly, dozens of zombies disappeared in front of their eyes. This, the village chief Liu Tian was dumbfounded. He looked at Yili in shock. Senior, did you do it? Liu Tian looked at Yili and asked. And? Yili nodded. The villagers looked at Yili in shock. They had guessed that Yili was a genetic warrior, but they did not expect him to be such a terrifying genetic warrior. Big brother, you're a human being. You said that the Apocalypse Legion are all zombies. How can you control zombies? The little girl asked curiously. Yili looked at the sun in the sky and slowly said, Who says I'm human? As soon as he said this, all the villagers were stunned. They never thought that Yili would say such a thing. Big brother, you're not human? The expression on the little girl's face seemed to have frozen. The villagers were also extremely stunned. They would never have thought that Yili was anything other than a human. I'm indeed not a human. I'm a demon, Yili said frankly. Demon? All the villagers gasped. Although they were all ordinary people, they were born in the Eastern lands, so how could they not know what a demon was? After hearing that Yili was a demon, all the villagers were relieved. They had heard many legends about demons. It was said that demons were the noblest race in the Eastern land. Not to mention zombies, even the dark race trembled when they saw them. No wonder Big Brother can control zombies. Turns out that Big Brother is a demon. The little girl smiled at Yili. There was no change in Yili's expression. He looked at Liu Tian and asked, Are there many zombies around? A lot. Liu Tian nodded. There's definitely more zombies than that. Hearing that, Yili was relieved. He thought that since the coordinates of the super treasure map had disappeared, it would be good if he could synthesize some zombies. Then Yili asked the Apocalypse Legion to lure the zombies over. Yili stayed in the village for a day. This village was called Woodleaf Village. The villagers of Woodleaf Village treated Yili with good wine and meat. To them, Yili was their savior. "Senior, you must eat and drink well today." Liu Tian raised his wine bowl to Yili. After eating and drinking their fill, night had already fallen. Yili sat on a rock and looked at the moon. Just as he was engrossed, a few voices suddenly entered his ears. "There are hundreds of humans in this village. We can eat our fill." "Yeah, I haven't eaten a human in a long time. I really miss the taste." "That's right. I miss it very much too." Yili activated his heavenly spirit eyes and realized that it was a few dark race members. These dark race members were all shadow wolves and were all at the 7th tier. Yili smiled to himself. He really didn't dare to imagine how this Woodleaf Village had survived until now. Even the dark race had designs on this place. We'll be able to see delicious humans soon. Let's go. Just as the 5 7th tier shadow wolves of the dark race were getting excited, a person suddenly appeared before their eyes. The 5 7th tier shadow wolves of the dark race were all stunned. This was because they realized that the human in front of them didn't have any expression on his face. "Human, are you scared, silly? Why didn't you run when you saw us?" A 7th tier shadow wolf dark race member looked at Yili with disdain. Chapter 843, Never Trust Your Own Eyes. Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron M. These 5 7th tier shadow wolves all had wolf heads and human bodies. They were pitch black and gave off a deep sense of oppression. "Why should I run?" Yili looked indifferently at the 5 shadow wolves in front of him and asked. The 5 7th tier shadow wolves were all shocked when they heard this. They never dreamed that Yili would say such a thing. "Human, did you eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall?" A 7th tier shadow wolf stared at Yili. However, to their surprise, Yili smiled faintly and slowly said, "Do you really believe in your own eyes?" The 5 7th tier shadow wolves were stunned again. They were confused. They had no idea what Yili meant. They had never seen a human like Yili. The humans they met would pee their pants in fear when they saw them. However, not only was the human in front of him not scared out of his wits, but he was also terrifyingly calm. "Human, you've already become our meal. What else are you worth pretending for?" "Of course we believe in our own eyes," a 7th tier shadow wolf said coldly to Yili. The corners of Yili's lips curled up slightly, and an evil smile appeared on his handsome face. "What I want to tell you is that you should never believe your own eyes, because eyes can deceive you sometimes," Yili said lightly. "What do you mean?" a 7th tier shadow wolf asked. Yili smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face. "It's just like how you think I'm human but am not. You think I'm your meal but you're actually my meat." "What?" When the 5 7th tier shadow wolves heard this, they were all extremely furious. They all looked at Yili angrily. "Human, I'm going to swallow you whole," a 7th tier shadow wolf shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, this 7th tier shadow wolf pounced towards Yili. Demon God Fist. The Demon God Fist was a heaven-defying level skill he obtained when he synthesized zombies in Wild Thunder Bay City. Yili thought that this heaven-defying level skill was useless to him, so he might as well let these stupid shadow wolves have a taste of it. As soon as the Demon God Fist was unleashed, the fist struck out with the might of a demon god. The fist wind roared. The 7th tier shadow wolf that was pouncing on Yili was terrified when he saw this. However, he could no longer stop himself. "Alt?" The 7th tier shadow wolf let out a loud cry before melting into nothingness. Not even ashes were left behind. How is this possible? The remaining 4 7th tier shadow wolves were already terrified to the extreme. They would never have thought that such a scene would happen. "I told you never to believe your own eyes. Why don't you believe me?" Yili looked at the 4 7th tier shadow wolves indifferently and said, "You, what exactly are you?" Before they could finish speaking, the 4 7th tier shadow wolves never had the chance to continue because Yili had already melted them into nothingness. Yili looked at the air in front of him and said calmly, "If you want to talk, you have to see if I, Yili, agree." At this moment, the villagers heard the commotion and finally rushed behind Yili. "Senior, what happened?" Village Chief Liu Tian hurriedly asked. Chapter 844, Thousands of Zombies. Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron M. All the villagers looked at Yili. They had just heard a blood-curdling scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. The intensity of the scream made their scalps tingle. "It's nothing serious. Just now, a few dark race members entered the village and prepared to eat you. I casually killed them, Yi Li said indifferently. When the villagers heard Yi Li's words, they were all frightened out of their wits. Senior, is what you said true? Village Chief Liu Tian looked at Yi Li in shock. They said they were shadow wolves? Have you heard of them? Yi Li asked. What? The villagers were terrified again. Shadow wolves? Senior, the shadow wolf race is the largest dark race in the surrounding area. It's over. They're targeting our village. As Liu Tian spoke, he kept retreating. It was as if all the strength in his body had been sucked dry by something. His old face turned ashen. The villagers also felt as if a bolt of lightning had struck their heads. If the shadow wolves had their eyes on them, would they still be alive? Are you all very scared? Yi Li glanced at the villagers indifferently. Liu Tian smiled bitterly and said to Yi Li, Senior, the shadow wolves are really too terrifying. How terrifying? Yi Li asked. Liu Tian didn't know how to answer. He thought to himself, that's right. With Senior here who is a demon, this shadow wolves is nothing. At the thought of this, Liu Shen's old face was no longer as pale as before. Instead, it was glowing. Senior, those shadow wolves are naturally nothing in front of you, Liu Tian said. When the villagers heard this, their bodies trembled. They were only afraid just now. But they forgot that Senior was a demon. Strange. Logically speaking, the shadow wolves are very far away from us. Why would they come here? Village Chief Liu Tian rubbed his head and was very puzzled. The next day, the Apocalypse Legion came back with thousands of zombies. The villagers had never seen more than 1,000 zombies before. Seeing this scene, they were terrified and wished they could run home to hide in their blankets. There are so many zombies. What should we do? What should we do? The village chief, Liu Tian, was terrified. Yi Li didn't have the chance to shock the villagers. He asked the Apocalypse Legion to take action. Roar. The Apocalypse Legion roared and began to attack the thousands of zombies. Yi Li found a stone and sat down. He picked up a small stone from the ground and played with it. When the villagers saw this, they could not help but be stunned. After the Apocalypse Legion had dealt with thousands of zombies, Yi Li opened the synthesis grid in his mind and conducted batch synthesis. How did you do that? The villagers looked at each other in shock. There was no change in Yi Li's expression. Thousands of zombies were pitifully few to him. They were not even enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. Yi Li continued to ask the Apocalypse Legion to lure more zombies back this time. He stayed in Woodleaf Village and had a leisurely time. Ever since he transmigrated to this world, he had never been so relaxed. It was not a bad thing. However, what he did not expect was that even though the tree wanted to be quiet, the wind would not stop. The shadow wolves had actually found this place. Chapter 843, Never Trust Your Own Eyes. Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron M. These 5 7th-tier shadow wolves all had wolf heads and human bodies. They were pitch black and gave off a deep sense of oppression. Why should I run? Yi Li looked indifferently at the 5 shadow wolves in front of him and asked. The 5 7th-tier shadow wolves were all shocked when they heard this. They never dreamed that Yi Li would say such a thing. Human, did you eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? A 7th-tier shadow wolf stared at Yi Li. However, to their surprise, Yi Li smiled faintly and slowly said, Do you really believe in your own eyes? The 5 7th-tier shadow wolves were stunned again. They were confused. They had no idea what Yi Li meant. They had never seen a human like Yi Li. The humans they met would pee their pants in fear when they saw them. However, not only was the human in front of him not scared out of his wits, but he was also terrifyingly calm. Human, you've already become our meal. What else are you worth pretending for? Of course we believe in our own eyes, a 7th-tier shadow wolf said coldly to Yi Li. The corners of Yi Li's lips curled up slightly, and an evil smile appeared on his handsome face. What I want to tell you is that you should never believe your own eyes, because eyes can deceive you sometimes. Yi Li said lightly. What do you mean? A 7th-tier shadow wolf asked. Yi Li smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face. It's just like how you think I'm human but am not. You think I'm your meal but you're actually my meat. What? When the 5 7th-tier shadow wolves heard this, they were all extremely furious. They all looked at Yi Li angrily. Human, I'm going to swallow you whole, a 7th-tier shadow wolf shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, this 7th-tier shadow wolf pounced towards Yi Li. Demon God Fist. The Demon God Fist was a heaven-defying level skill he obtained when he synthesized zombies in Wild Thunder Bay City. Yi Li thought that this heaven-defying level skill was useless to him, so he might as well let these stupid shadow wolves have a taste of it. As soon as the Demon God Fist was unleashed, The fist struck out with the might of a demon god. The fist wind roared. The seventh-tier shadow wolf that was pouncing on Yi Li was terrified when he saw this. However, he could no longer stop himself. Alt? The seventh-tier shadow wolf let out a loud cry before melting into nothingness. Not even ashes were left behind. How is this possible? The remaining 4 seventh-tier shadow wolves were already terrified to the extreme. They would never have thought that such a scene would happen. I told you never to believe your own eyes. Why don't you believe me? Yi Li looked at the 4 seventh-tier shadow wolves indifferently and said, What exactly are you? Before they could finish speaking, the 4 seventh-tier shadow wolves never had the chance to continue because Yi Li had already melted them into nothingness. Yi Li looked at the air in front of him and said calmly, If you want to talk, you have to see if I, Yi Li, agree. At this moment, the villagers heard the commotion and finally rushed behind Yi Li. Senior, what happened? Village Chief Liu Tian hurriedly asked. Chapter 844, Thousands of Zombies. Lease reading Omicron in Oxville. Omicron. All the villagers looked at Yi Li. They had just heard a blood-curdling scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. The intensity of the scream made their scalps tingle. It's nothing serious. Just now, a few dark race members entered the village and prepared to eat you. I casually killed them, Yi Li said indifferently. When the villagers heard Yi Li's words, they were all frightened out of their wits. Senior, is what you said true? Village Chief Liu Tian looked at Yi Li in shock. They said they were shadow wolves? Have you heard of them? Yi Li asked. What? The villagers were terrified again. Shadow wolves? Senior, the shadow wolf race is the largest dark race in the surrounding area. It's over. They're targeting our village. As Liu Tian spoke, he kept retreating. It was as if all the strength in his body had been sucked dry by something. His old face turned ashen. The villagers also felt as if a bolt of lightning had struck their heads. If the shadow wolves had their eyes on them, would they still be alive? Are you all very scared? Yi Li glanced at the villagers indifferently. Liu Tian smiled bitterly and said to Yi Li, Senior, the shadow wolves are really too terrifying. How terrifying? Yi Li asked. Liu Tian didn't know how to answer. He thought to himself, that's right. With Senior here who is a demon, this shadow wolves is nothing. At the thought of this, Liu Shen's old face was no longer as pale as before. Instead, it was glowing. Senior, those shadow wolves are naturally nothing in front of you, Liu Tian said. When the villagers heard this, their bodies trembled. They were only afraid just now. But they forgot that Senior was a demon. Strange. Logically speaking, the shadow wolves are very far away from us. Why would they come here? Village Chief Liu Tian rubbed his head and was very puzzled. The next day, the Apocalypse Legion came back with thousands of zombies. The villagers had never seen more than 1,000 zombies before. Seeing this scene, they were terrified and wished they could run home to hide in their blankets. There are so many zombies. What should we do? What should we do? The village chief, Liu Tian, was terrified. Yi Li didn't have the chance to shock the villagers. He asked the Apocalypse Legion to take action. Roar. The Apocalypse Legion roared and began to attack the thousands of zombies. Yi Li found a stone and sat down. He picked up a small stone from the ground and played with it. When the villagers saw this, they could not help but be stunned. After the Apocalypse Legion had dealt with thousands of zombies, Yi Li opened the synthesis grid in his mind and conducted batch synthesis. How did you do that? The villagers looked at each other in shock. There was no change in Yi Li's expression. Thousands of zombies were pitifully few to him. They were not even enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. Yi Li continued to ask the Apocalypse Legion to lure more zombies back this time. He stayed in Woodleaf Village and had a leisurely time. Ever since he transmigrated to this world, he had never been so relaxed. It was not a bad thing. However, what he did not expect was that even though the tree wanted to be quiet, the wind would not stop. The shadow wolves had actually found this place. Chapter 847. You're a pervert. Lease reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron M. The 10th tier shadow wolf looked at Yi Li pleadingly. He really hoped that Yi Li would spare his life. Do you think he'll let you off? Yi Li looked at the 10th tier shadow wolf indifferently. The 10th tier shadow wolf was stunned. He looked at Yi Li in shock and said in an extremely trembling voice, My lord, what do you mean? Yi Li smiled and said slowly, It means that I won't let you off. You're going to die soon. When the 10th tier shadow wolf heard this, he was scared out of his wits. My lord. My lord. The 10th tier shadow wolf started to kowtow to Yi Li. Unfortunately, Yi Li had never been a soft-hearted person. Usually, if Yi Li wanted to kill someone, it would be useless even if this person kowtowed his head to bleed. It was naturally the same for the dark race. The 10th tier shadow wolf looked up and saw that there was no change in Yi Li's expression at all. It knew that Yi Li would not let it go, so it shouted angrily at Yi Li, "Since you're unwilling to let me go, I'll fight you to the death." After the 10th tier shadow wolf finished speaking, he leaped up from the ground and pounced towards Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly, but there was no change in his handsome face. Swish. With a wind-breaking wind, the life of the 10th tier shadow wolf would disappear from this world forever. When the villagers saw this scene, they froze like clay sculptures. Their faces were filled with horror. "Senior, you're the savior of our Woodleaf village. Without you, the consequences would be unimaginable." As the village chief spoke, he was about to kneel down to Yi Li. However, before he could kneel down, he felt a resistance on his knees. "I don't like people kneeling to me," Yi Li said lightly. The village chief quickly got up from the ground and looked at Yi Li gratefully. 3 days later. This time, the Apocalypse Legion brought back more than 3,000 zombies. More than 3,000 zombies refreshed the villagers' fear. They had never seen so many zombies in their lives. Yi Li had synthesized all the zombies, but he still hadn't synthesized a 10th tier lord level zombie. Yi Li thought that it was time to find the incomplete 9-Li pot. According to the 10th tier shadow wolf, the incomplete 9-Li pot was in the surrounding area. He was now a tier 1 sky opener. It could be said that he could do whatever he wanted in these places. Then Yi Li bade farewell to the villagers of Woodleaf village and left. Yi Li searched for the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-Li pot, but after a few days he still found nothing. He came to a pool. After taking a bath in the pool, he heard a scream. "Alt. Pervert." Yi Li looked in the direction of the voice and saw a 17 or 18-year-old girl covering her eyes as if she had seen something she shouldn't have. A look of boredom appeared on Yi Li's face. After putting on his clothes, he went to the girl's side. "Who did you call a pervert?" The girl was stunned. When she saw that Yi Li had put on his clothes, she heaved a sigh of relief and a hint of displeasure appeared on her fair face. "You." The girl stared at Yi Li and said firmly. Yi Li secretly smiled. Ever since he transmigrated to this world, no one had ever dared to call him a pervert. The ignorant were really fearless. At this moment, Yi Li was in an unknown forest. "I'm not a pervert and I don't want to see you again. Leave," Yi Li said slowly. Chapter 848, by Kai Lise reading Omicron novel cool. Omicron the girl was stunned. She didn't expect Yi Li to say such a thing. After taking a closer look at Yi Li's appearance, she was stunned. She had never seen someone as handsome as Yi Li. Her eyes were the biggest ever. Yi Li shook his head secretly. Come on, why were there so many girls infatuated with his appearance? Stop looking. You'll drool if you keep looking, Yi Li said lightly. The girl, upon hearing the words, regained her senses, feeling that she had lost control and blushed deeply, feeling embarrassed. What do you mean? The girl looked at Yi Li in shock. Yi Li smiled and said calmly, nothing much. I just don't want to see you anymore. The girl was stunned again when she heard that. Although she had never seen someone like Yi Li, she was also very beautiful. There were countless people who liked her. Why did this person not want to see her? Bai Kai really didn't understand why there was a person like Yi Li. Shouldn't he be staring straight at her when he saw her? Why don't you want to see me? Bai Kai looked at Yi Li in confusion. Because you're ugly, Yi Li said lightly. What did you say? Bai Kai was stunned. He would never have dreamed that Yi Li would say such a thing. Then Bai Kai looked at Yi Li angrily. No one had ever said that she was ugly. She was the #1 beauty in the Skywalking sect. I said you're ugly. Could it be that other than being ugly you're also deaf? Yi Li looked at Bai Kai playfully. When Bai Kai heard Yi Li's words, how could he stand it? He looked at Yi Li in exasperation. Do you know who I am? Yi Li smiled calmly and said calmly, tell me, who are you? He felt that Bai Kai was quite interesting. She was actually quite good looking. When Bai Kai heard this, a smug expression appeared on her fair face, as if what she said next made her very proud. I'm telling you, I'm a disciple of the Skywalking sect. Bai Kai originally thought that Yi Li would be scared out of his wits when he heard about the Skywalking sect. However, she did not expect that Yi Li's expression did not change at all. Never heard of it. Yi Li shook his head slowly. What? Bai Kai looked at Yi Li as if he was crazy. She really couldn't understand why there were still humans who hadn't heard of the Skywalking sect. Yi Li did not want to continue talking nonsense with Bai Kai. He looked at Bai Kai and asked, You didn't come here just to peek at me bathing, did you? When Bai Kai heard this, her fair face instantly turned red like a ripe apple, looking extremely alluring. "I'm not here to peek at you bathing. I'm here to find a shocking spiritual treasure," Bai Kai said. "Shocking spiritual treasure?" Yi Li pondered for a few seconds and then asked Bai Kai, "What shocking spiritual treasure?" Bai Kai seemed to realize that he had said something wrong and quickly changed his words. "I was joking." Yi Li smiled leisurely and said indifferently, "Is the shocking spiritual treasure you are looking for the incomplete 9-li pot?" Bai Kai was shocked and looked at Yi Li in shock. "How did you know?" Yi Li smiled calmly. "I don't know. I was just probing. I didn't expect my guess to be right." Only then did Bai Kai realize that she had been tricked by Yi Li. She looked at Yi Li angrily, and her big watery eyes seemed to be spitting fire. "Tell me, where is the incomplete 9-li pot?" Yi Li asked Bai Kai. Chapter 849, Believe It or Not, I'm Gonna Kill You. Lease reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron M. Bai Kai shook her head and stared at Yi Li. "Why should I tell you?" Yi Li smiled and said leisurely, "Do you think you still have any room to refuse now that things have come to this?" Bai Kai was stunned when she heard this. She really did not understand why there was such a person who felt so good about himself in this world. Did he really not know how terrifying the skywalking sect was? Immediately Bai Kai looked Yi Li up and down. She couldn't feel the spirit chi fluctuations on Yi Li's body. In other words, if he wasn't an ordinary person, he was hiding his realm. In Bai Kai's opinion, Yi Li must be hiding his realm. Only by hiding his realm could he be so arrogant. "Tell me, what realm are you in?" Bai Kai looked at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly and looked at Bai Kai evilly. "Do you really want to know my realm?" "Of course." Bai Kai nodded. "Since you want to know my cultivation level so much, he'll tell you that I'm a Tier 1 sky opener," Yi Li said. "Splurt." To Yi Li's surprise, Bai Kai burst out laughing after he told her his realm. "You're a Tier 1 sky opener?" "Yes." Bai Kai walked back and forth a few times around Yi Li and said with a smile, "You're quite good at pretending. If you're a Tier 1 sky opener, then I'm a 10th tier sky opener." "Come on, aren't you just a Tier 2 transcender?" Yi Li said sarcastically to Bai Kai. Bai Kai was stunned when she heard that. She did not expect Yi Li to be able to see through her realm. Since he could see through her realm, it meant that Yi Li's strength was extraordinary. "I never expected you to have some strength. However, don't even think about getting me to tell you the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot," Bai Kai said to Yi Li. In fact, how could she know the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot? She had snuck out of the sect to find the incomplete 9-li pot. Yi Li was really not interested in continuing to talk nonsense with Bai Kai. He raised his index finger. "I'll ask again. Are you going to tell me the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot?" Seeing this, Bai Kai snorted and said to Yi Li disdainfully, "So what if one don't tell you?" Yi Li smiled to himself and the white spiritual energy on his index finger started to entangle. "Do you know the feeling of death?" Yi Li asked leisurely. Bai Kai looked at the white spiritual energy on Yi Li's index finger and his pupils constricted. Heaven-defying level genetic warrior? Bai Kai would never have thought that Yi Li was actually a heaven-defying level genetic warrior. Yi Li smiled faintly. His handsome face was calm as he slowly said to Bai Kai, "Do you believe that I will kill you if you don't tell me the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot?" Bai Kai looked at Yi Li in shock. She realized that there was terrifying killing intent hidden in the corner of Yi Li's eyes. For some reason she felt that Yi Li was not talking nonsense. If she did not tell Yi Li the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot, Yi Li would really kill her. However, she did not know where the incomplete 9-li pot was. "I don't know the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot." At this moment, Bai Kai already knew that she was no match for Yi Li. To be able to see her own realm, he was at least in the same realm as hers. Coupled with his heaven-defying level genetic talent, she had no chance of winning. "I really don't know the whereabouts of the incomplete 9-li pot." "Really?" Bai Kai was afraid that Yi Li wouldn't believe her, so she quickly continued. Chapter 850, 2 Tier 3 Master Level Zombies. Lease reading Omicron N Novel Cool. Omicron M. Yi Li looked into Bai Kai's eyes and could not help but secretly sigh. It was only because he knew that Bai Kai was not lying. He was happy for nothing just now. After searching for days, he still could not find the incomplete 9-li pot. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Roar. All of a sudden Yi Li and Bai Kai heard the zombies roar. Yi Li and Bai Kai followed the sound and saw 2 zombies in front of them. The 2 zombies looked like humans, and the degree of zombification on their faces had decreased. They were 2 Tier 3 Master-level zombies, both male. Master-level zombies. Bai Kai was shocked. To be honest, she had never seen a Master-level zombie before. I didn't expect there to be 2 humans here. A Tier 3 master-level zombie sneered. Yili smiled leisurely and said calmly, one didn't expect that there would be 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies here. As soon as he said that, the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies were stunned. They never expected Yili to be able to laugh. Hey, what do we do? Bai Kai gently tugged at the corner of Yili's shirt. Yili ignored Bai Kai. Instead, he looked at the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies and said, let me synthesize you. What do you think? The 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies were stunned. Synthesize them? What did he mean by synthesizing them? Shouldn't the 2 humans run away when they saw them? Could it be? The 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies thought of a possibility, which was that the 2 humans in front of them could defeat them. Human, aren't you afraid that well EQ? A Tier 3 master-level zombie said coldly. Yili smiled calmly. Eat us? Just the 2 of you Tier 3 master-level zombies? You don't know his place. Hearing that, the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies became a little angry. They stared at Yili and said, human, you really won't shed tears until you see your coffin. They didn't know what realm Yili and Bai Kai were in, so they didn't attack immediately. They were afraid that they would kick an iron plate. However, they never expected Yili to say this. I, Yili, will not cry even if I see a coffin because I will never need a coffin. Hearing this, the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies couldn't hold it in anymore. Roar. The 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies roared at Yili, then charged at him. No, don't come any closer. Bai Kai sensed the terror of these 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies and was so frightened that he was shocked. Swoosh swoosh. With 2 wind-breaking sounds, a shocking bloody hole appeared on the thighs of the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies. The 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies fell to the ground, having already lost their ability to fight. Yili opened the synthesis grid in his mind and synthesized the 2 zombies. As for the Tier 4 master-level male zombie, Yili placed the Tier 4 male zombie into the system space. Well, Bai Kai was terrified. She quickly rubbed her eyes, afraid that she had seen wrongly. However, no matter how she rubbed, the result was the same. She could clearly see that the 2 Tier 3 master-level zombies had turned into a zombie and then disappeared. How did you do it? Bai Kai looked at Yili in shock and asked. Yili smiled faintly and said, didn't I just say that I was going to synthesize them? Chapter 851, Zombie Territory Synthesize? Bai Kai naturally did not know what synthesis was. Yili didn't want to explain it to Bai Kai. Let's go. Where are we going? Bai Kai asked curiously. Looking for the incomplete 9-li pot. Yili rolled his eyes at Bai Kai. Where else do you think him going? As soon as he finished speaking, Yili took a step forward and looked at Yili's back. Bai Kai stomped her feet angrily and followed him. By the way, why are those 2 zombies so high-leveled? Yili turned around and asked Bai Kai. What's so strange about that? There's a zombie territory 100 miles away from here, Bai Kai replied. When Yili heard Bai Kai's words, a playful look appeared on his handsome face. And let's go to the zombie territory, Yili said slowly. Bai Kai was shocked. Are you crazy? Yili smiled. Do you think I'm crazy? That's the zombie territory. Who knows how many zombies there are inside? I'm not afraid of zombies. Yili pouted. Bai Kai was stunned. She had never thought that there would be someone in this world who was not afraid of zombies. It would be fine if it was an ordinary zombie, but that was the zombie territory. What are you waiting for? Lead the way. Yili looked at Bai Kai. Bai Kai turned his head to the side. If you want to go, go by yourself. I won't go to my death with you. Do you think you have the right to refuse? Yili looked at Bai Kai evilly. You? Bai Kai glared at Yili. As the saying went, one had no choice but to lower his head under the eaves. Bai Kai thought that he could not defeat Yili, so other than leading the way for him, there seemed to be no better way. She could only glare at Yili. Let's go. Then Yili and Bai Kai headed towards the zombie territory. Yili did not use swift steps this time. A few days later, he and Bai Kai arrived outside the zombie territory. The reason why he did not use swift steps was because he did not want to miss any place that might have the incomplete 9-li pot. However, the outcome left Yili disappointed. He didn't see any trace of the incomplete 9-li pot. Yili, this is the zombie territory, Bai Kai said to Yili. Yili sized up the zombie territory and realized that this so-called zombie territory was just a city. The city in front of him was already in ruins. Let's go in, Yili said slowly. Are we really going in? Bai Kai's fair face was filled with fear. Yili did not answer Bai Kai's question. He slowly walked towards the city. What's the big deal? Bai Kai stomped her feet in anger. As a top genius of the skywalking sect, when had she ever been looked down upon like this? Then Yi Li and Bai Kai entered the zombie territory. Zombie territory. As soon as Yi Li and Bai Kai entered the zombie territory, many zombies discovered them. What Yi Li didn't expect was that these zombies didn't pounce on him like those zombies he had met in the past. A fifth-tier male zombie walked to the front of dozens of zombies and stared at Yi Li and Bai Kai. Humans, do you know that this is the zombie territory? I do. The fifth-tier male zombie looked at Yi Li. Suddenly he smiled coldly and said, Humans, I don't think you have good intentions. Yi Li smiled. You're right. Then I'll let you know how serious the consequences of entering the zombie territory are. The fifth-tier male zombie shouted, then gave an order to the dozens of zombies behind him. Kill them. Chapter 852, Bai Kai a foodie roar. Roar. Dozens of zombies rushed towards Yi Li and Bai Kai. Yi Li didn't even want to look at the dozens of zombies. He released the Apocalypse Legion from the system space and yawned. Bai Kai looked at the Apocalypse Legion that suddenly appeared beside her and was so frightened that she took a few steps back. Her fair face was full of horror. When dozens of zombies reached the Apocalypse Legion, they instantly fell to the ground. No matter how small a fly was, it was still meat. Yi Li synthesized all the zombies. You're horrible. Bai Kai said to Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. Many people say that. Bai Kai stared at Yi Li. Although she knew that Yi Li's strength was extremely terrifying, this person's face was proportional to his strength. She had never seen such a shameless person. I'm very puzzled. Why can you reduce the number of zombies and increase their levels? A hint of curiosity appeared on Bai Kai's face. Because I'm a demon, Yi Li said slowly. Oh, so you're... Bai Kai suddenly trembled and looked at Yi Li in shock. What did you say you were? A demon. Bai Kai was shocked. She felt that Yi Li was not lying to her. Are you very scared? Yi Li looked at Bai Kai. Bai Kai was stunned. Of course she was afraid. Who in the entire Eastern land was not afraid of demons? Before she could answer, she heard Yi Li continue, Never be afraid because everything I do will make you scared for 3 days and 3 nights. When Bai Kai heard this, he could not help but become even more afraid. Humans. Suddenly an angry voice entered Yi Li's ears. Yi Li took a closer look and found that it was a 5th-tier master-level zombie. A bored look appeared on Yi Li's face. Go, my Apocalypse Legion. Yi Li gave an order to the Apocalypse Legion. Roar. The 9 zombies of the Apocalypse Legion shot out. How could this 5th-tier zombie withstand the power of the Apocalypse Legion? It instantly fell to the ground and lost its ability to fight. The hundreds of zombies behind the 5th-tier zombie also fell to the ground. Yi Li synthesized these zombies in batches and then asked the Apocalypse Legion to kill all the zombies in the zombie territory. When the Apocalypse Legion went to various places, Yi Li found a place to sit down. I'm a bit hungry. Yi Li took out a box of food from the system space and started eating. Yi Li ate as fast as he killed people. Many people died before they even saw his sword. Many people didn't even see him eat, but he was already done. As a foodie, Bai Kai saw a box of food suddenly appear in front of Yi Li. Just as she was about to go over and take a share, she was surprised to find that the entire box of food was gone. Oh, what a terrifying speed. Bai Kai swallowed her saliva. She was not that hungry at first, but when she saw the food she felt hungry. As a foodie, seeing the food was gone, she felt starving now. You want to eat it? Yi Li looked at Bai Kai. Bai Kai was stunned. She didn't expect Yi Li to suddenly talk to her. No, I don't want to eat it. Bai Kai shook her head. Yi Li smiled faintly. If you want to eat, just say it. Look, you're drooling. After that, Yi Li took out a box of food from the system space. Here you go. Yi Li said to Bai Kai. Chapter 853, a Tier 1 Lord-level Titan Zombie. Bai Kai looked at the food that Yi Li handed over. Can one really eat it? Bai Kai's fair face was very stunned. Do you want it? Forget it if you don't want it, Yi Li said lightly. Bai Kai quickly took the food from Yi Li's hands and started eating. Yummy, it's delicious. As a foodie, Bai Kai's gluttonous face could be seen clearly when she was eating. After Bai Kai finished eating, she looked at Yi Li and thought that she had to say something nice after eating Yi Li's food, so she said to Yi Li, I've never eaten anything so delicious. Yi Li pursed his lips and said slowly, You call this delicious? Bai Kai didn't know how to reply. She just wanted to say something nice, but Yi Li didn't appreciate it. Let's go. With that, Yi Li stood up and slowly walked away. Bai Kai looked at Yi Li's slightly thin back and quickly followed him. Before he could take a few steps, he heard a terrifying roar. Roar. Are you the leader of the Apocalypse Legion? A Titan zombie with a giant axe appeared in front of Yi Li and Bai Kai. Yi Li looked indifferently at the Titan zombie in front of him. This zombie was actually a Tier 1 Lord level zombie. Ever since he transmigrated to this time, he had never seen a Tier 1 Lord level zombie. That's right, I'm the leader of the Apocalypse Legion. Why are you looking for me? Yi Li looked indifferently at the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie. Umph. The Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie snorted coldly and said coldly to Yi Li, your Apocalypse Legion is slaughtering the zombies in my zombie territory. They're all high-leveled Lord level zombies. Of course I can't defeat them. Even if I use all my strength, I won't be a match for any of them. Hearing the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie's words, Yi Li understood. So, you think you can kill me? Yi Li looked at the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie playfully. Of course. The Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie said coldly. In the eyes of a Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie, Yi Li had asked the Apocalypse Legion to attack the zombies, while he himself had not made a move because he did not have that level of strength at all. Bai Kai was a Tier 2 Transcender. She could feel the terror of the Titan zombie in front of her and could not help but retreat. A hint of shock appeared on her fair face. Yi Li smiled calmly and said calmly to the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie, since you think you can kill me, then avenge your zombies. When the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie heard this, it flew into a rage. He'll crush you. As soon as he finished speaking, a Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie held a huge axe and attacked Yi Li fiercely. The Titan zombie's body was extremely huge, more than 20 feet tall. Looked really scary. Unfortunately, this Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie was really pitifully weak in front of Yi Li. Yi Li slowly raised one finger and golden spiritual power enveloped it. The finger fell. Swish. A wind-breaking sound rang out, and a terrifying white spiritual light attack suddenly attacked the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie. This Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie was huge, but its speed was not very fast. How could it react to such a speed attack? Or? With a series of pig-like screams, the Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie fell heavily to the ground, and a deep pit was instantly smashed into the ground. Chapter 854. Incomplete 9 Lipat Lise reading Omicron N novel cool. Omicron M Yi Li's expression did not change at all, because he knew that when this Tier 1 Lord level Titan zombie faced him, it would definitely die. However, Bai Kai did not think so. She now deeply felt how terrifying Yi Li was. She even suspected that no one in the Skywalking sect would be a match for Yi Li. Moreover, Yi Li had told her that he was not a human but a demon. Yi Li sensed the position of the Apocalypse Legion and started to head towards it. Every zombie of the Apocalypse Legion had defeated countless zombies, including mini-mutant zombies and master-level zombies. Ding. Alta has been upgraded to a 5th-tier Heavenly Lord level zombie. Alda has been upgraded to a 5th-tier Heavenly Lord level zombie. Yi Li nodded in satisfaction and thought that it was alright. Bai Kai's entire body started to tremble because she really couldn't understand why there was such a terrifying person like Yi Li in this world. How terrifying. Suddenly, a cold voice entered Yi Li and Bai Kai's ears. Yi Li and Bai Kai looked in the direction of the voice and saw a dark race member appear in front of them. This dark race member's body was completely black, making it impossible to see his real body. Soul Tribe. When Yi Li was still in Anan Base City, he had seen some Soul Tribe members. What Yi Li did not expect was that this one was a Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul. Demon, I really want to know your name? The Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul said calmly to Yi Li. Yi Li was secretly surprised. He thought that this spirit soul actually knew that he was a demon. It seemed that it could sense the aura emitted from his body. Demon King Yi Li. Yi Li said lightly. Demon King Yi Li? The Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul laughed coldly. The Cheongqi royal family doesn't have a demon called Yi Li, said the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul as it stared at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face at all. I'm not a member of the Cheongqi royal family. What did you say? The Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul was slightly stunned. Everyone knew that in the Eastern Land only the Cheongqi royal family were demons. I didn't expect that the Eastern Land would actually have a demon other than the Cheongqi royal family. The Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level soul spirit said coldly to Yi Li. Bai Kai swallowed her saliva. She looked at the spirit soul in front of her in shock. She knew that this spirit soul was even more terrifying than the zombies from before. Cut the crap. Just tell me what you want. Yi Li looked indifferently at the spirit soul. Ha ha ha. The spirit soul roared with laughter. A few seconds later he said, Nothing much, I just want to eat your souls. Hearing this, Bai Kai was extremely scared. Facing this spirit soul, she felt that she would have no hope of survival. She looked at Yi Li in fear and realized that Yi Li's handsome face was calm as if he wasn't afraid at all. Suddenly, Bai Kai had a feeling that nothing could scare a person like Yi Li. I didn't expect that after finding the incomplete 9-li pot, I would be able to eat the souls of a demon and a human. Luck really can't be expelled, the spirit soul said proudly. You found the incomplete 9-li pot? A smile appeared on Yi Li's face. Chapter 855:1 Grant you death. Will you accept it? Lease reading Omicron N novel cool. Omicron M the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul smiled faintly. Yes, I found the incomplete 9-li pot. You want it? However, if you want it in your next life, the spirit soul continued. Looking at the spirit soul, Yi Li couldn't help but reveal a faint smile. From the looks of it, you seem to have us at your mercy? Do you still have any room to resist? The voice of the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul was very mocking. Yi Li sighed to himself. He really didn't understand why there were always dark race members who thought that they could kill him. Was it because this Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul was too arrogant, or was it because he, Demon King Yi Li, couldn't hold his saber anymore? Then what are you waiting for? Come on. Yi Li crooked his finger at the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul. When the spirit soul saw that Yi Li still dared to hook his finger at him, he instantly became furious. You don't even know that you're about to die. As soon as he finished speaking, several black ghosts appeared around this Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul, attacking Yi Li and Bai Kai fiercely. Although Bai Kai was a Tier 2 transcender, when she saw the black ghosts attacking her, her heart instantly skipped a beat. She knew that she could not withstand such an attack and hurriedly hid behind Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face because he felt that the black ghosts were too weak. At the same time, he did not make any move to block or dodge. When the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul saw this, he couldn't help but secretly sneer. Of course, he knew that Yi Li had already been scared silly. When a person was extremely frightened, this was often the case. It was the same for demons and the dark race. However, what this spirit soul did not expect was that when several black spirits attacked Yi Li's body and were about to devour his soul, they all let out painful howls and then disappeared. How is this possible? The Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul cried out loudly. He saw the most impossible thing in history. Nothing is impossible in this world, Yi Li said lightly. This was not surprising at all. After all, his current physical defense was even stronger than those swordsmen in the martial arts novels. However, in this zombie world he was naturally much stronger than the swordsmen in the martial arts novels. Suddenly, the corners of Yi Li's mouth curled up slightly, and an evil smile appeared on his handsome face. He calmly said to the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul in front of him, I, Demon King Yi Li, have hereby granted you death. Will you accept it? When the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul heard this, 1,000 feet of anger rushed out from the top of its head, and he stared fixedly at Yi Li. Demon King Yi Li, don't think that you can defeat me just because your defense is strong. As he finished speaking, he charged towards Yi Li at an astonishing speed. Yi Li shook his head. The ancient dragon abyss sword was already in Yi Li's hands. Swish! The ancient dragon abyss sword slashed out. As the saying went, sword chi swept across 30,000 miles, and a sword light could freeze 19 states. When the Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level spirit soul saw such a terrifying sword light coming at him, his pupils could not help but constrict rapidly. He hurriedly dodged, and in the end he managed to dodge such an attack. Demon, you're actually so terrifying? The spirit soul looked at Yi Li in horror. He already had the intention to retreat. Yi Li nodded and looked at Bai Kai indifferently. Is there a problem? Bai Kai was shocked. She had a feeling that Yi Li would kill her at any moment. No, there's no problem. Bai Kai hurriedly replied. Then Bai Kai brought Yi Li to the Skywalking sect. The Skywalking sect was a medium-sized sect in the Eastern Land. Yi Li and Bai Kai arrived at the Wind City below the Skywalking sect. There were as many genetic warriors as there were hairs on a cow in Wind City, but most of their realms were not high. Senior, this is Wind City. Above us is the Skywalking sect. Bai Yi pointed at a mountain. Yi Li looked in the direction of Bai Kai's finger and realized that it was a mountain with rich spiritual energy. Oh, isn't this our Skywalking sect's top genius, Bai Kai? A voice entered Yi Li's ears. Yi Li looked over and realized that it was a girl about the same age as Bai Kai. The girl's face was filled with disdain, and there was a handsome young man beside her. When Bai Kai saw this, she shook her head in her heart. A sin committed by the heavens could be forgiven, but a sin brought on by oneself couldn't. You two Tier 2 transcenders dare to say that you want me to die? Yi Li shook his head and laughed. Xiao Yun looked at the smile on Yi Li's face and couldn't hold it in anymore. He punched Yi Li fiercely. When the onlookers saw that Xiao Yun had made a move, they all shook their heads and sighed. Of course they knew how miserable Yi Li's ending would be. However, to their surprise, Yi Li called out to Xiao Yun. Wait. Xiao Yun stopped in her tracks and looked at Yi Li in confusion. Just when everyone thought that Yi Li was going to beg for mercy, Yi Li said something like this. His words were enough to shock them for 3 days and 3 nights. I feel like I'm bullying you. How about I use one finger? Yi Li looked at Xiao Yun indifferently. Chapter 858 I have a finger that can pierce through the sky. Li's reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron M. When the onlookers heard Yi Li's words, they were all shocked to the extreme because they never expected Yi Li to say such a thing. What did you say? 1,000 feet of anger rushed out from the top of Xiao Yun's head. As one of the super geniuses of the Skywalking sect, when had he ever been looked down upon like this? I said I'll use one finger. Yi Li looked at Xiao Yun calmly. When Xiao Yun heard this, he was furious to the extreme. How dare you look down on me? I've already said that you're just a Tier 2 transcender. A Tier 2 transcender is just an ant in front of me, Yi Li said calmly. When Xiao Yun heard this, he couldn't take it anymore and threw a heavy punch at Yi Li. Yi Li looked at Xiao Yun's fist and thought that this ant didn't know his place. Qi Wei stared at Yi Li coldly. She knew that when Xiao Yun's fist landed on Yi Li's body, Yi Li would be instantly sent flying. The onlookers all shook their heads. They all felt that Yi Li was too arrogant. They had never met such an arrogant person. Seeing that Yi Li had no intention of dodging, Xiao Yun sneered in his heart. I'll see how you can still be arrogant. Without a doubt, Xiao Yun's punch landed heavily on Yi Li's body. However, to everyone's surprise, Yi Li did not even take half a step back. How is this possible? Xiao Yun was stunned. He was really stunned. The onlookers froze on the spot like clay sculptures. Their eyes were as wide as they had ever been, and their mouths were open so wide that they could swallow an extra-large bowl. It's my turn, Yi Li said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li raised his index finger. Terrifying white spiritual energy wrapped around it. I have a finger that can pierce through the sky. As soon as he finished speaking, his finger landed. When Xiao Yun saw such a terrifying finger attack him, he was so frightened that his soul fell. Alf? Before the finger landed on his head, Xiao Yun shouted because he knew that his life was over. At this moment, the surrounding crowd was already scared silly, so how could they still say anything? Yi Li's finger stopped when it was just an inch away from Xiao Yun's head. Now, do you think you are an ant? Yi Li looked at Xiao Yun indifferently. Xiao Yun was shocked. Yes. I'm just an ant. Qi Wei was also stunned. Even if she thought about it for 10 days and 10 nights, she didn't expect Yi Li to be so terrifying. Disappear, Yi Li said slowly. When Xiao Yun heard this, it was as if he had been pardoned. He hurriedly fled this place. Seeing that Xiao Yun had run away, Qi Wei hurriedly left. The onlookers came back to their senses and looked at Yi Li in horror. They originally thought that Yi Li's ending would be very tragic, but now they knew that not only were they wrong, but they were also wrong to the extreme. Let's go. Yi Li looked at Bai Kai and said lightly. Bai Kai nodded. At this moment she was in an extremely happy mood. She thought about how Xiao Yun and Qi Wei had been pretending in front of her for a day. Now they had kicked an iron plate. Then Yi Li and Bai Kai walked towards the Skywalking sect. The Skywalking sect had 3 geniuses: Xiao Yun, Qi Wei and Bai Kai. Bai Kai was an influential figure in the Skywalking sect. When the disciples of the Skywalking sect saw Bai Kai, they all called out to senior sister Bai. These Skywalking sect disciples looked at Yi Li, who was beside Bai Kai, in confusion. They had never seen a man as handsome as Yi Li. At the same time, they didn't know what the relationship between Bai Kai and Yi Li was. Chapter 859 Skywalking sect. Li's reading Omicron N Novel Cool. Omicron M. At this moment, Xiao Yun and Qi Wei were in the square of the Skywalking sect. They looked at Yi Li and Bai Kai and could not help but be stunned. They really did not expect Yi Li to dare to come to the Skywalking sect. You actually dare to come to the Skywalking sect? Xiao Yun shouted angrily and immediately walked towards Yi Li with Qi Wei. They were so aggressive that even the wind retreated 20 feet. All the disciples in the Sky Transformation sect square were stunned, wondering what was going on. Xiao Yun and Qi Wei walked in front of Yi Li. Many disciples who were close to Xiao Yun and Qi Wei also followed behind them. There's a path to heaven but you don't take it. There is no gate to hell but you force your way in. Xiao Yun stared at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly and said slowly, "It's just a small skywalking sect. Why can't I come?" What? As soon as these words were spoken, all the disciples of the skywalking sect were stunned. How could they dare to believe that Yi Li would say such words? It was just a small skywalking sect? Who was this person? Xiao Yun's face was ashen. When they were in Wind City, the strength that Yi Li had displayed had frightened him. But now they were in the skywalking sect. The skywalking sect was his sect. He was one of the super geniuses of the skywalking sect. How dare you talk about the skywalking sect like that? Xiao Yun's face revealed an extremely cold expression. Yi Li looked calm and said to Xiao Yun, "What can you do even if I do?" Hearing this, Xiao Yun was even more furious. However, he knew very well that he was definitely not Yi Li's match, so he was a little helpless for a moment. "Brat, how dare you speak to young Master Yun like that? I think you don't want to live anymore." "That's right. I don't know where this brat came from, but he's still pretending to be a supreme being. How funny. Young Master Yun, let me teach him a lesson." After saying that, a ninth-tier evolved being walked out from the crowd and stared at Yi Li with extreme disdain. "Brat, since you look down on the skywalking sect, he'll let you know that the skywalking sect isn't something that just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can touch." As soon as he finished speaking, a ninth-tier evolved being charged towards Yi Li. However, just as the ninth-tier evolved being took a step forward, his entire body was sent flying. No one knew how he was sent flying. Everyone in the square was shocked. They hurriedly rubbed their eyes, feeling that they had seen wrongly. However, no matter how they rubbed their eyes, the result was the same. "An ant like you dares to attack me? What a joke." Yi Li shook his head slowly. When the disciples of the skywalking sect heard this, they all knew that Yi Li was an expert. Why would a ninth-tier evolved being be sent flying? They were certain that it was Yi Li's doing. "This is Senior Demon King. Move aside quickly." Bai Kai shouted coldly. The disciples in the plaza hurriedly made way for him. They were only here to watch the show. Bai Kai was one of the 3 super geniuses of the skywalking sect, so they naturally could not afford to offend him. "What Demon King Yi Li? This is the skywalking sect." Suddenly, a cold voice entered everyone's ears. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a charming woman walking over. The woman looked to be in her 40s and she was a Tier 1 chosen one. "It's the second elder." Someone exclaimed in shock. Chapter 860. Tell your sect master to come out and see me. Lease reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron M. The woman walked to Qi Wei and Xiao Yun's side and stared at Yi Li. This woman was the second elder of the skywalking sect, Yu Hongmian. "Bai Kai, is he your friend?" Yu Hongmian stared at Bai Kai. When Bai Kai heard this, a hint of fear appeared on her fair face, as if she was very afraid of Yu Hongmian. "Yes, no, it's..." Bai Kai didn't know how to answer Yu Hongmian. In fact, Yi Li wasn't her friend. Yes or no? Yu Hongmian's face turned cold. When Xiao Yun and Qi Wei saw that the second elder was backing them up, they immediately revealed a smug expression on their faces. "Second elder, who knows what Bai Kai is up to?" That's right. Bai Kai must not have brought him back to the skywalking sect for anything good. Xiao Yun and Qi Wei started mocking Bai Kai. Yu Hongmian glared at Bai Kai, then looked at Yi Li and said coldly, "Who are you? What's your relationship with Bai Kai?" All the disciples in the square looked at Yi Li. They all wanted to know who Yi Li was. Yi Li played with his fingers for a few seconds before saying calmly, "My name is Yi Li. You can call me Demon King Yi Li." Demon King Yi Li? The disciples were all a little shocked. They thought that this name was too domineering. Our skywalking sect doesn't have a disciple called Demon King Yi Li. Yu Hongmian stared at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled calmly, thinking that Yu Hongmian's words were really ridiculous. "You should feel honored that I, Yi Li, come to your skywalking sect," Yi Li said slowly. As soon as these words were spoken, Yu Hongmian's face could not help but turn dark. "Demon King Yi Li, what kind of place do you think the skywalking sect is? Do you think you can come and go as you please?" Second elder Yu Hongmian glared at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. There was no change in his handsome face as he looked at the sun in the sky. "In my eyes, the skywalking sect is just a pitifully weak sect." "You?" The skywalking sect's second elder Yu Hongmian gritted her teeth. She did not know how long it had been since she had been so angry. "One didn't think that there would be someone as arrogant as you in this world," Yu Hongmian said coldly. Yi Li smiled lightly and looked at Yu Hongmian playfully. "Do you really think I'm arrogant?" Alright, go and get your sect master to see me, Yili continued. The disciples in the square could not take it anymore. They dared to swear that they really could not stand Yili's arrogance. Demon King Yili, one think you are courting death. Yu Hongmian's voice was filled with killing intent. Yili's face did not change at all. It was as if he did not hear anything. He looked at Yu Hongmian and said frankly, "I'll say it again. Tell your sect master to come and see me. Don't make me say it a third time. You're seeking death." Yu Hongmian struck out with her palm. The power of this palm strike was fully displayed. All the disciples in the square knew that Yili would be beaten to death by this palm. At the very least he would be crippled for life. Xiao Yun and Qi Wei smiled smugly. They had never seen someone as suicidal as Yili. Yili did not dodge or defend at all. He stood still and allowed Yu Hongmian's palm to attack him. All the disciples in the plaza felt that Yili was so scared that he was stunned, but they could also understand. After all, the second elder was a Tier 1 chosen one. One is for me to cripple them, and the other is for the Skywalking sect to be exterminated, Yili said slowly. When everyone in the square heard this, they all felt that Yili was extremely arrogant. Although he sent the second elder flying with a punch, it was too funny to think that he could destroy the Skywalking sect. At this moment, Bai Kai was also panicking. The Skywalking sect was her sect. "Senior, what are you doing?" Bai Kai asked Yili in a panic. Yili revealed the side of his face. "I don't need you to teach me how to do things." Bai Kai did not dare to continue, but her heart was in her throat. Of course, she did not want Yili to destroy the Skywalking sect. Ha ha ha. The sect master of the Skywalking sect laughed out loud. "Demon King Yili, oh Demon King Yili, do you really think that my Skywalking sect is a fish that can be slaughtered at will? So you don't want me to cripple them?" "No." The sect master of the Skywalking sect shouted coldly and continued to say to Yili, "Demon King Yili, you severely injured the second elder of my Skywalking sect. I want you dead." Chapter 862, Destroy Skywalking Sect Lease, reading on Zavel. The sect master of the Skywalking sect shouted at Yili coldly and immediately flew towards Yili. Yili secretly smiled. He had already given him a chance, but he did not cherish such an opportunity. Suddenly, a dragon's cry and a sword's cry tore through space. A 5-clawed blood dragon circled above Yili. The ancient dragon abyss sword appeared in Yili's hand. When the sect master of the Skywalking sect saw the ancient dragon abyss sword in Yili's hand, he hurriedly stopped in his tracks and was shocked. "Demon King Yili, the sword in your hand?" The sect master of the Skywalking sect did not finish his sentence. He was waiting for Yili to speak. Everyone in the square was shocked. Just by looking at the ancient dragon abyss sword in Yili's hand, they felt like they had entered a cycle of reincarnation. "The sword in my hand is called the ancient dragon abyss sword," Yili said calmly. When the sect master of the Skywalking sect heard this, a greedy expression appeared on his face. Everyone attacked together and killed Demon King Yili. Suddenly, the sect master of the Skywalking sect gave an order to everyone. The people of the Skywalking sect could no longer stand Yili's arrogance. Now that the sect master had given the order, they immediately swarmed forward. All the disciples of the Skywalking sect rushed towards Yili, looking like they wanted to tear him into pieces. Bai Kai panicked. She knew how terrifying Yili was. If that was the case, Yuling couldn't bring herself to think about it any further. She really didn't want to. Swish. A supreme sword light shot out from the immemorial dragon abyss sword. The supreme sword light was too terrifying. All? In an instant, screams sounded incessantly. Heaven sword technique. Yili slashed again. The divine level skill, the heaven sword technique, slashed out and countless divine lights shot towards the disciples of the Skywalking sect. Boom. An earth-shattering bang sounded in the square of the Skywalking sect. When the sword light disappeared, the plaza of the Skywalking sect was filled with the corpses of the disciples. It was a gruesome scene. On the other hand, there was no change in Yili's expression. It was as if nothing had happened. When Bai Kai saw this, she fell limply to the ground. "Dead, they're all dead." Bai Kai muttered to herself. The Skywalking sect was her sect, but in the blink of an eye, it was destroyed. She looked at the slightly thin figure in front of her and suddenly gritted her teeth. "Demon King Yili, one want to avenge the Skywalking sect." Bai Kai shouted and threw a palm at Yili. This palm strike landed on Yili's back. Bai Kai was only a Tier 2 transcender, so her palm strike could not cause any damage to Yili. "Are you heartbroken?" Yili looked at Bai Kai indifferently. At this moment, Bai Kai was already in tears. Her fair face was covered in tears, making one's heart ache. You destroyed my sect and killed my master. I want to avenge them. After saying that, Bai Kai hit Yi Li's body again and again, but it was as if she was tickling Yi Li. Yi Li's handsome face remained expressionless. He slowly said, I've already given them a chance to choose, but they don't cherish it. I can't do anything about it. Now you should know what a demon is, right? As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li slowly walked down the Skywalking Sect mountain. Bai Kai looked at Yi Li's back and clenched her fists tightly. Demon King Yi Li, one must avenge my sect. As soon as she finished speaking, her body involuntarily walked towards Yi Li. What's going on? Bai Kai was shocked. Bai Kai begged Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. After last night, your life no longer belongs to you. It belongs to me, the Demon King Yi Li. When Bai Kai heard this, she only felt deep despair. This was the most terrifying despair she had felt since she was born. Roar, roar. All of a sudden, Yi Li and Bai Kai heard the zombies roar. A playful smile appeared on Yi Li's face. Nice zombies again. Then he released the Apocalypse Legion from the system space. Apocalypse Legion, it's up to you now. Chapter 864. Desperate Bai Kai Li's reading on Zavel. As Yi Li added fuel to the fire, Bai Kai's face started to turn cold. What did you say? Bai Kai stared at Yi Li. However, Yi Li smiled lightly and slowly said, I said you're a piece of trash. You don't even dare to take revenge for your sect and master. If you're not trash, what else can you be? Hearing this, Bai Kai's tears fell uncontrollably. When she thought of the tragic scene in the Skywalking sect that day, her scalp went numb. Don't force me. Bai Kai stared at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly, but there was no change in his handsome face. Did I force you? I destroyed your sect and killed your master, and now you're saying that one forced you? When Bai Kai heard this, she couldn't take it anymore. She closed her eyes and stabbed Yi Li's heart heavily. Clang. However, to Bai Kai's surprise, the steel knives in her hand made a sound of metal colliding with Yi Li's body. Bai Kai opened his eyes and looked at Yi Li in shock. A piece of trash like you actually wants revenge, what a joke. Didn't I tell you that I'm a Tier 1 sky opener? Woo. When Bai Kai heard this, she threw the sharp blade in her hand to the ground and wailed. There was still no change in Yi Li's expression. He looked indifferently at Bai Kai, who was sitting on the ground and wailing. You will never be able to take revenge, Yi Li said slowly. Yi Li had never been a good person or a bad person. The reason why he didn't kill Bai Kai was because he felt that Bai Kai was interesting. Yi Li didn't need any reason to do things. If he wanted to do something, he would do it. If he didn't want to do it, he wouldn't do it. For example, he wanted to destroy the Skywalking sect. Regardless of whether the other disciples of the Skywalking sect provoked him, he could destroy them if he wanted to. Regardless of whether Bai Kai wanted to kill him or not, he didn't kill Bai Kai because he didn't want to. What? Why did you destroy my sect and kill my master? Bai Kai started crying. Yi Li did not answer Bai Kai's question. He just, skipping an hour. The next day the sunlight shone on Yi Li's face through the window. Yi Li opened his eyes and a lazy expression appeared on his handsome face. Yesterday was really a wonderful night. Bai Kai woke up at this moment. The moment she woke up, she jumped up and picked up the steel knives on the ground. Then she stabbed her neck. However, before the saber reached her neck, it turned into dust. Bai Kai froze like she was petrified. Of course she knew that it was Yi Li who did it. Why won't you let me die? Bai Kai looked at Yi Li in despair. Not only did Yi Li destroy the Skywalking sect, but he also killed her master and senior brothers. He even defiled her yesterday. Now she just wanted to die, but she couldn't do it. Please let me die. Bai Kai begged Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. After last night, your life no longer belongs to you. It belongs to me, the Demon King Yi Li. When Bai Kai heard this, she only felt deep despair. This was the most terrifying despair she had felt since she was born. Roar, roar. All of a sudden, Yi Li and Bai Kai heard the zombies roar. A playful smile appeared on Yi Li's face. Nice zombies again. Then he released the Apocalypse Legion from the system space. Apocalypse Legion, it's up to you now. That's right, but it's not a powerful dark race tribe, Yi Li said slowly. Qiong Ling thought for a moment before continuing. Then why did the dark race members attack? It's called a base city. Ever since the zombie virus broke out, humans started building base cities to resist the attacks of the dark race members and zombies. Yi Li, I want to destroy these dark race members. Xiongling looked at Yili and said. Yili smiled. Sure. Hearing Yili's answer, Xiongling raised his palm and a terrifying demonic aura shot out. Boom. Suddenly, with a loud bang, all the humanoid mantises attacking the base city died. Xiongling looked at Yili in confusion. That's right, but it's not a powerful dark race tribe, Yili said slowly. Xiongling thought for a moment before continuing, then why did the dark race members attack? It's called a base city. Ever since the zombie virus broke out, humans started building base cities to resist the attacks of the dark race members and zombies. Yili, I want to destroy these dark race members. Xiongling looked at Yili and said. Yili smiled. Sure. Hearing Yili's answer, Xiongling raised his palm and a terrifying demonic aura shot out. Boom. Suddenly, with a loud bang, all the humanoid mantises attacking the base city died. Chapter 868. There was a treasure light lease, reading on Zavel. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect looked at Yili in confusion. They did not understand why Yili stopped them. What's wrong? Luyu asked Yili. Don't blame me for not telling you. There are dark race members ahead, Yili said calmly. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect were all stunned when they heard this. It took them a few seconds to come back to their senses. Suddenly, a disciple of the Four Symbols sect sneered and said to Yili in disdain, I think you're the one who wants to keep the treasure for yourself. What dark race members? Yili sighed to himself and did not continue. In this day and age, no one believed the truth anymore. Then these disciples of the Four Symbols sect walked towards the treasure light. Misty forest. The forest was filled with fog, and the source of the treasure light was the misty forest. More than 10 disciples of the Four Symbols sect walked into the misty forest. Their faces were filled with excitement. They thought that they were really lucky. They could still find treasures even if they were lost. Senior Sister Yu were getting closer and closer to the treasure light, a disciple of the Four Symbols sect said excitedly. As soon as these words were spoken, the dozen or so disciples of the Four Symbols sect became excited. We have to be careful, Luyu reminded. Don't worry, Senior Sister Yu. There's no dark race member, a disciple said disdainfully. Finally, more than 10 disciples of the Four Symbols sect walked to the treasure light. This treasure light was so intense that it simply blinded them. Senior Sister Yu, there must be some shocking spiritual treasure. A disciple of the Four Symbols sect said excitedly. Just as the disciples of the Four Symbols sect were about to approach the treasure light, a few voices made them stop in their tracks. So many humans? Humans, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Don't you understand the logic? The disciples of the Four Symbols sect were shocked when they heard this. They hurriedly turned around and looked at the dark race members in front of them in shock. These were 5 spirit dark race members. All of them were at the 7th tier master level. Dark race. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect were all shocked. The aura emitted by these 5 spirit souls was too terrifying. There are so many humans here that we can eat our fill. 1 inch I know, right? I haven't eaten a human soul in a long time. What the soul tribe ate was not the physical body but the soul. Among all the members in the post-apocalyptic world, only human souls were the most delicious. Only then did these disciples of the Four Symbols sect realize that Yili wasn't lying to them. There really were dark race members. You, what do you want to do? Chapter 870. This move was called the Heavenly Demon Fist Lease, reading on Zavel. Although the disciples of the Four Symbols sect were shocked, they did not believe that Yili was a demon. In the entire Eastern land, only the Cheongqi royal family were demons. How could Yili be a demon? Ants like you don't know how powerful I, Demon King Yili, am, Yili said disdainfully. As soon as he finished speaking, the demonic aura around Yili's body was fully displayed. The demonic aura was too terrifying. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect did not even dare to breathe because they felt that they were not breathing air but murderous chi higher than the sky and deeper than the sea. Yes. The 5 7th-tier master-level spirit souls were shocked to the extreme. Their eyes were wide open, and their mouths were so wide that they could put down an extra-large bowl. Are you really a demon? A 7th-tier master-level spirit soul asked Yili in horror. Yili smiled faintly and said slowly, yes? When the 5 7th-tier master-level spirit souls heard this, they hurriedly took a few steps back. Even if you are a demon, we are not to be trifled with. This Emperor tomb must belong to our soul tribe. A 7th-tier master-level spirit soul calmed himself down and said to Yili. Yili smiled and thought that these ants were too ridiculous. Did they really not know who they were talking to? You guys are already dead, Yili said calmly. The 5 7th-tier master-level spirit souls were all shocked and looked at Yili in shock. What do you want? We're from the Soul Tribe. Before this 7th-tier master-level spirit soul could finish speaking, he never had the chance to continue because Yili had already thrown a punch. Although Yili had thrown many ordinary punches, this punch had a name, the Heavenly Demon Fist. When the heaven-defying level skill Heavenly Demon Fist was thrown out, the space seemed to be cracked. How could such a punch be described with words? These 5 spirit souls were only at the 7th-tier master level. How could they withstand the heaven-defying level skill Heavenly Demon Fist? What awaited them was only death. Ah! The 5-meter-tall 7th-tier master-level spirit souls all let out shocking screams. As the screams fell, the lives of these 5 7th-tier master-level spirit souls disappeared from this world forever. Too terrifying, simply too terrifying. More than a dozen disciples of the Four Symbols sect were terrified to the extreme. A chill ran from their tailbones to the top of their heads. They dared to swear that they had never been so afraid as today. Yili's handsome face didn't change at all, as if he was just doing something insignificant. Yili ignored these disciples of the Four Symbols sect. He looked at the treasure light and used the heavenly spirit eyes to probe. He discovered a door in the treasure light. He recalled that a spirit soul had said just now that this was an emperor tomb. Since it was an emperor tomb, there was no doubt that there were treasures inside. Thinking of this, Yili's face became playful. Just now, the Apocalypse Legion had all become Tier 1 Heavenly Lord level zombies, and now they had a fortuitous encounter. How lucky he was. Then Yili walked towards the door. Senior Sister Yu, what should we do? A disciple of the Four Symbols sect looked at Lu Yu and asked. Lu Yu pondered for a few seconds. Let's follow them too. If we encounter dark race members again. Before Lu Yu could finish her sentence, she followed. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect also followed her. Chapter 871. Unparalleled Warrior Lise, reading on Zavel. And more than a dozen disciples of the Four Symbols sect followed Yili to the door in the treasure light. They looked at the door. The door was covered in intricate patterns, giving it an ancient and quaint look, with an aura of vicissitudes continuously emanating from it. Senior. Lu Yu glanced at Yili. Yili's face was as calm as water as he looked at the stone door. Boom. Suddenly Yili punched the stone door. To Yili's surprise, the stone door did not move at all. Huh. When the disciples of the Four Symbols sect saw this, they were all shocked. They had seen Yili's fist just now. Even 5 7th-tier master-level spirit souls were killed with one punch, but this stone door did not move at all. Yili secretly smiled and thought that this stone door was quite interesting. However, if this small stone door could stump him, would he still be the Demon King Yili? Heavenly Demon Fist. Yili's Heavenly Demon Fist was released. As expected, the stone door was still broken by the Heavenly Demon Fist. Senior's strength is really too terrifying, Lu Yu said in horror. Although Yili was a demon, her intuition told her that Yili would not hurt them as long as they did not provoke Yili. Without thinking too much, Yili stepped into the Emperor Tomb. However, as soon as Yili and the disciples of the Four Symbols sect stepped into the Emperor Tomb, they realized that it had suddenly become another world. Rather than calling it a world, it was more like a space. This space was like a purgatory, looking extremely terrifying. There was lava everywhere and white bones everywhere. What appeared in front of Yili and the dozen or so disciples of the Four Symbols sect was a group of ancient soldiers. This group of soldiers held ancient bronze spears and wore armor, looking really terrifying. There were more than 100 combat weapons, and all of them had extraordinary combat strength. A monstrous killing intent filled this unfamiliar space. More than a dozen disciples of the Four Symbols sect were already shocked. They had not expected that it would be so terrifying inside. If they had known earlier, they would not have come in. Suddenly, hundreds of ancient soldiers attacked Yili and more than 10 disciples of the Four Symbols sect. They were extremely fast, like a flash. Clang. A cold light suddenly appeared in space. The sound of a dragon and a sword suddenly appeared in space. A 5-clawed blood dragon was hovering above Yili's head. Heaven-severing sword. The divine skill Absolute Heaven slashed out. This strike was absolutely indescribably terrifying. Hundreds of ancient soldiers were instantly melted into nothingness by this supreme sword light. How did he do it? The disciples of the Four Symbols sect were extremely shocked. Yili originally thought that this was the end, but what he didn't expect was that an unparalleled valiant general appeared in midair. However, this unparalleled fierce general held a 3-pronged, 2-bladed halberd in his hand. He was wearing armor, had sharp eyebrows and a pair of big leopard eyes. This unparalleled fierce general was really too domineering. Not to mention these disciples of the Four Symbols sect. Even Yi Li had never seen such a domineering person. Although this person was already dead. How dare you barge into the Emperor tomb? You really don't know your place. The unparalleled valiant general had already raised the three-pronged double-edged halberd in his hand. Let's go. Yi Li suddenly shouted. The disciples of the Four Symbols sect could not stand the pressure anymore. Hearing Yi Li's words, they quickly ran out. Yi Li also rushed out in an instant. He knew that he was definitely no match for this general. As she spoke, a sad look appeared on Lu Yu's fair face. Sister Yu, go back quickly. Grandpa is dying. A sobbing voice was heard. A 13 or 14-year-old girl said to Lu Yu with tears streaming down her face. When Lu Yu heard this, her entire body trembled as if all the strength in her body had been sucked out. Then Lu Yu and the little girl hurried to a place. Yi Li looked at Lu Yu's back and exclaimed in his heart. Humans simply could not avoid the torture of life, old age, illness, and death. Ding. Host, please go and save Lu Yu's grandfather. The system's voice sounded in Yi Li's mind. Host, only by saving Lu Yu's grandfather will you trigger the 9 Li pot trial. A playful smile appeared on Yi Li's face. Then he disappeared from the spot. Chapter 874, Time and Fortune Lease, reading on Zavel. Lu Yu did not believe that Yi Li could cure her grandfather. The reason why she was willing to let Yi Li treat her grandfather was because she was afraid that the Lu family would offend Yi Li and turn into dust in an instant. After all, she had seen Yi Li's strength with her own eyes. No way. The middle-aged man rejected again. In his opinion, it was impossible for Yi Li to cure his father's life. However, as soon as the middle-aged man spoke, his entire body was sent flying. No one in the room saw how the middle-aged man was sent flying. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Only Lu Yu knew that this was done by Yi Li. Yi Li didn't care about the shock on everyone's faces. He raised his palm and a gentle white spiritual energy went towards the old man on the bed. A few seconds later, a miracle happened. The old man's originally pale face became incomparably red. Huh? The old man on the bed was shocked. Wasn't he about to die? Why did he suddenly feel so energetic? I'm done. The old man touched his mind, his old face full of astonishment. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the 9 Li pot trial. Please go to. After the system finished speaking, a set of coordinates appeared in Yi Li's mind. I've really recovered. The old man jumped up from the hospital bed and stretched his body. He found that it was so easy to move. Father. Family head. Grandfather. Everyone in the room was pleasantly surprised. When the old man got up from the bed just now, they could swear that they had never been so shocked. As for Dr. Lin, he quickly rubbed his eyes, feeling that he had seen wrongly. However, no matter how he rubbed his eyes, the result was the same. A miracle physician, he's really a miracle physician. Dr. Lin quickly bowed to Yi Li. Yi Li did not say much. Just as everyone in the room was about to thank Yi Li suddenly disappeared. Where's Senior? Everyone in the room was stunned. They looked around for Yi Li but they could not find him anywhere. Yi Li followed the coordinates in his mind and arrived at a black mountain. Yi Li released the Apocalypse Legion from the system space. Master. The 9 Heavenly Lord-level zombies in the Apocalypse Legion all greeted Yi Li respectfully. Yi Li nodded and looked at the black mountain in front of him. The coordinates were this black mountain. Host, as long as you kill all the dark race members on the mountain and pass the 9 Li pot trial on the mountain, it will be fine. The system's voice appeared in Yi Li's mind again. Yi Li thought that the mission this time was relatively simple. Apocalypse Legion, destroy the dark race members on the mountain. Yi Li ordered the Apocalypse Legion. What Yi Li didn't expect was that the dark race members on the mountain were actually from the Soul Tribe. Human success always lay in time and luck. It was the same for the dark race. Although the Soul Tribe's strength was not bad, how could they withstand the power of 9 Heavenly Lord-level zombies? In an instant, screams that sounded like pigs being slaughtered rang out incessantly, making one's scalp tingle. Master, all the dark race members on the mountain have been killed. Ada appeared beside Yi Li and said. Yi Li nodded and jumped to the top of the mountain. He took out the ancient dragon abyss sword from the system space. There was already a black vortex in the sky above Yi Li. Chapter 874, Time and Fortune Lease, reading on Zavel. Lu Yu did not believe that Yi Li could cure her grandfather. The reason why she was willing to let Yi Li treat her grandfather was because she was afraid that the Lu family would offend Yi Li and turn into dust in an instant. After all, she had seen Yi Li's strength with her own eyes. No way. The middle-aged man rejected again. In his opinion, it was impossible for Yi Li to cure his father's life. However, as soon as the middle-aged man spoke, his entire body was sent flying. No one in the room saw how the middle-aged man was sent flying. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Only Lu Yu knew that this was done by Yi Li. Yi Li didn't care about the shock on everyone's faces. He raised his palm and a gentle white spiritual energy went towards the old man on the bed. A few seconds later, a miracle happened. The old man's originally pale face became incomparably red. Huh. The old man on the bed was shocked. Wasn't he about to die? Why did he suddenly feel so energetic? I'm done. The old man touched his mind, his old face full of astonishment. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the 9 pot trial. Please go to. After the system finished speaking, a set of coordinates appeared in Yi Li's mind. I've really recovered. The old man jumped up from the hospital bed and stretched his body. He found that it was so easy to move. Father. Family head. Grandfather. Everyone in the room was pleasantly surprised. When the old man got up from the bed just now, they could swear that they had never been so shocked. As for Dr. Lin, he quickly rubbed his eyes, feeling that he had seen wrongly. However, no matter how he rubbed his eyes, the result was the same. A miracle physician, he's really a miracle physician. Dr. Lin quickly bowed to Yi Li. Yi Li did not say much. Just as everyone in the room was about to thank Yi Li suddenly disappeared. Where's Senior? Everyone in the room was stunned. They looked around for Yi Li but they could not find him anywhere. Yi Li followed the coordinates in his mind and arrived at a black mountain. Yi Li released the Apocalypse Legion from the system space. Master. The 9 Heavenly Lord-level zombies in the Apocalypse Legion all greeted Yi Li respectfully. Yi Li nodded and looked at the black mountain in front of him. The coordinates were this black mountain. Host, as long as you kill all the dark race members on the mountain and pass the 9 pot trial on the mountain, it will be fine. The system's voice appeared in Yi Li's mind again. Yi Li thought that the mission this time was relatively simple. Apocalypse Legion, destroy the dark race members on the mountain. Yi Li ordered the Apocalypse Legion. What Yi Li didn't expect was that the dark race members on the mountain were actually from the Soul Tribe. Human success always lay in time and luck. It was the same for the dark race. Although the Soul Tribe's strength was not bad, how could they withstand the power of 9 Heavenly Lord-level zombies? In an instant, screams that sounded like pigs being slaughtered rang out incessantly, making one's scalp tingle. Master, all the dark race members on the mountain have been killed. Ada appeared beside Yi Li and said. Yi Li nodded and jumped to the top of the mountain. He took out the ancient dragon abyss sword from the system space. There was already a black vortex in the sky above Yi Li. Lu Yu did not finish her sentence but looked at Yi Li carefully. Yi Li smiled faintly and said slowly, then I'll accept the result. With that, Yi Li walked straight up the mountain. 4 Symbols Sect. After Yi Li and Lu Yu arrived at the 4 Symbols Sect, he said to Lu Yu, go inform your sect master and ask him to offer the treasure. Tell him that I, Demon King Yi Li, said it. Lu Yu froze as if she was petrified. She looked at Yi Li in shock. Go quickly. Don't make me repeat myself a 3rd time, Yi Li said calmly. Lu Yu knew very well how terrifying Yi Li was. She did not dare to stay any longer and hurriedly headed to the main hall of the 4 Symbols Sect. Yi Li wondered what kind of divine weapon the treasure on the super treasure map would be. The corners of his lips couldn't help but curl up slightly. Life was always so wonderful. Silver Blizzard Palace, just you wait. Lease reading on Zavel. Chapter 878, Take out all your treasures. Lease reading on Zavel. Just as the female disciples in the square were infatuated and the male disciples were furious, the sect master and elders of the 4 Symbols Sect rushed over. What are the sect master and the elders doing here? I don't know. They look so anxious. Did something big happen? Maybe they're welcoming some big shot. The gazes of all the disciples in the square followed the position of the sect master and elders. Sect master, Demon King Yi Li is there. Lu Yu pointed at Yi Li and said. The sect master and the elders quickly looked in the direction Lu Yu was pointing at. Then they were all shocked. Well, the sect master and the elders were stunned. They considered themselves handsome in their youth, but compared to the Demon King Yi Li, there was a huge difference between them. Then the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Shu Changjiu, and the elders swallowed their saliva and walked towards Yi Li. Hey, just watch. This person must have offended the Four Symbols sect and is here to apologize. That's right. Look at how angry the sect master and elders are. The male disciples in the plaza were all excited. Even if Yi Li was taller and more handsome than them, so what? He was going to die. However, what they did not expect was that when the sect master and the elders walked in front of Yi Li, they all bowed deeply to him. What? All the male disciples in the square sucked in a breath of cold air and were dumbfounded. Previously they thought that Yi Li did not have much strength, but now it seemed that not only were they wrong, but they were also wrong to the extreme. As for these female disciples, they were even more infatuated. Lord Demon King, why have you come to our Four Symbols sect? Sect Master Shu Changjiu said respectfully to Yi Li. Yi Li was stunned. He looked at Shu Changjiu in confusion and asked, You? He thought that even if Lu Yu told them that he was the Demon King Yi Li, these people from the Four Symbols sect shouldn't know him. Why did they look so scared of him? Lord Demon King, you are going to marry the Demon Lord in half a year. Congratulations. Shu Changjiu said to Yi Li. How did you know that I was going to marry the Demon Lord? Yi Li asked. Well, Lord Demon King. Yesterday the Cheongqi royal family announced to the world that their Demon Lord will marry you in half a year. Hearing this, Yi Li understood. He could think of it even with his toes. This must be that old guy Cheongfeng's idea. Perhaps the purpose of doing this was to prevent him from forgetting. Thinking of this, Yi Li felt a little helpless. All the disciples in the square looked at each other, especially these male disciples. They were all afraid that Yi Li had heard their words just now. Yi Li naturally did not care about how shocked the disciples in the square were. He looked at Shu Changjiu indifferently and slowly said, Take out all the treasures of your Four Symbols sect and let me take a look. The sect master of the Four Symbols sect hurriedly agreed when he heard this. How could he dare to refute? Then all the treasures of the Four Symbols sect were taken here. Knives, swords, halberds, cultivation pearls, spirit pills, and precious herbs all appeared in front of Yi Li. Lord Demon King, all the treasures of the Four Symbols sect are here, Shu Changjiu said respectfully to Yi Li. Yi Li looked at the treasures in front of him and felt bored. However, the disciples of the Four Symbols sect could not stop their eyes from shining because they had never seen so many treasures since they were born. Yi Li naturally did not care about how shocked the disciples in the square were. He looked at Shu Changjiu indifferently and slowly said, Take out all the treasures of your Four Symbols sect and let me take a look. The sect master of the Four Symbols sect hurriedly agreed when he heard this. How could he dare to refute? Then all the treasures of the Four Symbols sect were taken here. Knives, swords, halberds, cultivation pearls, spirit pills, and precious herbs all appeared in front of Yi Li. Lord Demon King, all the treasures of the Four Symbols sect are here, Shu Changjiu said respectfully to Yi Li. Yi Li looked at the treasures in front of him and felt bored. However, the disciples of the Four Symbols sect could not stop their eyes from shining because they had never seen so many treasures since they were born. Chapter 880, I'll bring you to destroy the Silver Blizzard Palace lease. Reading on Zavel. As soon as these words were spoken, the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Shu Changjiu, and the elders were all stunned. Lu Yu didn't expect Yi Li to say such a thing. To be nurtured as the future sect master? Senior, Before Lu Yu could finish her sentence, Yi Li interrupted her. You don't have to say anything. Yi Li waved his hand. The sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Shu Changjiu, and the elders looked at each other in bewilderment. Yes, Lord Demon King. They had a feeling that they had to agree. Otherwise, if Demon King Yi Li unleashed his might and anger, the consequences were not something their Four Symbols sect could bear. Yi Li recalled the Apocalypse Legion. The Apocalypse Legion didn't bring many zombies back. However, no matter how small an ant was, it was still meat. He synthesized these zombies. Master, where are we going now? Yutong looked at Yi Li and asked. Cheongqi Cave, Yi Li said slowly. Then Yi Li led the Apocalypse Legion towards the Cheongqi Cave. Cheongqi Cave. After Yi Li and the Apocalypse Legion arrived at the Cheongqi Cave, the members of the Cheongqi royal family all looked at Yi Li. Yi Li. Cheongqi royal family's great guardian, Cheongfeng, called out to Yi Li. Old man, why did you announce my relationship with Cheongling? Yi Li stared at Cheongfeng. Cheongfeng chuckled. I was just afraid that you would forget. I'm just trying to increase your reputation. Yi Li rolled his eyes. Where's Cheongling? The Demon Lord is in seclusion, Cheongfeng said. Master, Senior. A few voices entered Yi Li's ears. Yili looked up and saw Qing Zhu, Qing Ruo and Bai Kai. He had come to Cheongqi Cave to bring them to the Silver Blizzard Palace. However, when he saw Qing Zhu, Qing Ruo and Bai Kai, he hesitated. After all, Silver Blizzard Palace's Grand Elder Lung Rushuang was a Tier 3 Sky Opener and its 9 Elders were Tier 2 Sky Openers. He was a Tier 2 Sky Opener, and the Apocalypse Legion were Tier 2 Heavenly Lord level zombies. The Apocalypse Legion could fight the 9 Elders and he would fight Lung Rushuang. He should be able to fight Lung Rushuang to a draw with the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. Yili suddenly realized that he had not thought it through. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a free zombie fusion opportunity. Free zombie fusion opportunity? Yili smiled. He thought that this chance had come at the right time. If the 9 Heavenly Lord level zombies of the Apocalypse Legion merged into his body, his combat power could be described as terrifying. Master, are you here to see us? Qing Ruo smiled sweetly at Yili. Yili shook his head. No, I'm here to bring you to destroy the Silver Blizzard Palace. What?